Part 36. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 351. Zhang Zizai is never afraid of defeat. If you always win, what is the meaning of life? A life that always wins is not real. Only after failure, as a totem martial artist, can you better position yourself. The sooner you lose, the better, so that you can achieve more important victories in more critical battles. As long as you are talented, you may come back. This crazy suppression of the chess game of heaven and earth, and the domineering suppression of the mysterious palm of heaven and earth, made Zhang Zizai very clear in his heart that there are heavens beyond heaven and people beyond people. Only when arrogance and humility coexist can we open up the world and move forward courageously. Yishan looked indifferent, and the world turned upside down with a wave of his hand. His strength was a lesson for Zhang Zizai. However, Zhang Zizai would never recognize him at all. Different paths, no plan. Terrible fragile. This is Yishan's evaluation of him. Boom boom boom. He flew in the air, and struck out with his palms one after another, and a terrifying aura swept over. This time the suppression was more domineering. Zhang Zizai could not use his body skills and could only resist, but he almost found that this kind of resistance was useless. The gap was too obvious. Such a battle was really futile. Yishan was more powerful than Tianyi by more than one level. No wonder he could easily deal with Junji Unsheng and others. Buzz. Under the suppression of Tiandixuan palm, a golden shield appeared on Zhang Zizai's body. He was defeated. This was not unexpected by anyone. He could hold on until this moment, which was enough for everyone. It was unrealistic to continue to hold on, let alone turn defeat into victory, which was a fool's dream. When the golden shield appeared beside Zhang Zizai, it meant that he had been defeated. Next, he could not attack him for a day, and he could not get out of the range of the golden shield and attack Yishan. After defeating Zhang Zizai, Yishan looked at him coldly, expressionless. This shows that Zhang Zizai regarded him as an opponent, but he never regarded Zhang Zizai as an opponent. After being defeated, he appeared directly in front of Sikong Xiao. Sikong Xiao finally saw that Zhang Zizai could also be defeated. She originally wanted to rescue him, but now it was meaningless. So she stopped and stared at Yishan in a daze. She heard everything he said just now. I was just confused by the source beast and couldn't control myself. Can't you understand? Sikong Xiao stared at him with worry in his voice. Yishan didn't answer her. He just glanced at her coldly, raised his palm casually, and used the heaven and earth mysterious palm to attack her. This was his answer. Cold, indifferent, proud, and inviolable. Sikong Xiao, he had completely given up. This trace of emotion was cut off with great determination. The ruthless heaven and earth mysterious palm was his attitude. Sikong Xiao smiled bitterly. For him, she had also had many inner struggles, many spring feelings, and imagined many things in the future. Unexpectedly, just this small change would allow him to attack her mercilessly. Thinking about it, the position of the ancient Son of God and the fifth clue are more important to him. At this time, the beauty that I had imagined would happen. How ridiculous it is. The biggest difference between Yishan and Zhang Zizai is that he loves himself more. So when pursuing himself, he will be able to keep calm. Now everything is broken, and Sikong Xiao has instantly become a tiny opponent in his eyes. Boom. Sikong Xiao did not resist. After being attacked by the heaven and earth mysterious palm, her blood was boiling, and a trace of blood dripped from the corners of her rosy mouth. The golden shield has appeared around her. You are really a piece of shit for attacking the girl you once liked, Yishan. After seeing this, Zhang Zizai had only contempt in his eyes. Yishan glanced at him coldly and said, if you like it, I'll give it to you. Humble people should indeed get together with humble people. At this time, The white light on Zhang Zizai and Sikong Xiao had gathered in his hands. Yishan and Tianyi had already obtained the fifth clue. They had gathered 5 clues and thousands of beast bloods. It seemed that the position of the ancient Son of God was within reach. That was why they didn't bother to care about Zhang Zizai anymore. After Yishan finished speaking, he turned around and left. "You bitches, you made my brother lose face today. Everything is not over yet. You will suffer when you leave the Wushan battlefield." Tianyi laughed and followed Yishan away. The chess game totem of heaven and earth around them had long dissipated. When the golden shield disappeared, there were only 2 of them left in the wilderness. Sikong Xiao squatted on the ground, trembling slightly, and couldn't help sobbing. "It was really uncomfortable to have the love in my heart shattered." Zhang Zizai walked to her side and sat down as if nothing had happened, saying, "Don't cry, he's really not suitable for you. Today he just showed you his inner thoughts in advance. For this man, martial arts and self are always the most important things in his heart, and it's an endless pursuit. It would be terrible if you followed him. He can't give you the moonlight and flowers." Sikong Xiao raised her head slightly and looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Wipe it off." Zhang Zizai tore a small piece of cloth from his clothes and handed it to her, saying, "Don't cry, your makeup is all smudged, and you look uglier than a weeping bloodbat." "How is it possible?" Sikong Xiao quickly took out the mirror and saw her face. She couldn't help but burst into laughter. She quickly took out the purification talisman and washed it clean before taking a deep breath. "You don't need to comfort me. I've thought it through. We are not on the same path. He is destined to be untouchable." Zhang Zizai pouted and said, "Don't brag about him. We are all mortals. What is untouchable?" Sikong Xiao looked at him curiously and said, "By the way, you are rarely crushed and defeated like this, right? Why do you seem to be fine? Shouldn't people who are defeated and humiliated be grief-stricken?" Zhang Zizai laughed dumbly and said, "What a joke. Victory and defeat are common in the military. Meeting him today is a sure loss. There is nothing to be unbearable about it. So, are you thinking that one day you can avenge your previous shame? 5 years? 10 years? But those who were defeated by him have never been able to catch up with him. 5 years and 10 years? Zhang Zizai smiled. This was not the time he expected. They have already obtained 5 clues. It will probably be announced soon that the final selection is over. We can find a place to rest, Sikong Xiao said dejectedly. Zhang Zizai stood up, grabbed her shoulders and lifted her up. What are you doing? Sikong Xiao said. Nonsense, of course we should seize the time and move forward. We still have the advantage of 3 sun talismans now, and he will need more than 20 days to have so many sun talismans. Do you still think we have hope? Zhang Zizai turned around and asked with a smile, what else? Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 352. In fact, Zhang Zizai must be furious in his heart, despite his calm appearance. It is normal to lose the battle. But who is not a proud person? He endured it in order to wait for the next opportunity. If that opportunity comes, he will definitely not show mercy. One day, he will have to find his dignity back by himself. Moreover, it must not be the 5 or 10 years that Sikong Xiao said. He can't wait that long. Maybe at this time, everyone thinks that the son of the ancient gods has a home, but for Zhang Zizai, everything is not over yet. It's not that he doesn't have anger, but he just hides it quietly in his heart, covers it with a smile, and no one lets him see it. When Sikong Xiao was doubtful, Zhang Zizai said, after getting the 2 clues of sun and talisman, the totem puppet will appear continuously, so I guess, if this sun talisman is a condition, it is obvious that only one will not work. They not only need time to find the location clue, but also need time to deal with the totem puppet once every 7 days. This time is our last time. Then what should we do? Seeing that he had not given up, Sikong Xiao could only sacrifice her life to accompany the gentleman. Although, she didn't think there was still hope. Zhang Zizai narrowed his eyes and said, "First, since it is guessed that it is a location clue, although we don't have the clue itself, we can also look for special places in the Wuxian battlefield. It would be best if we can track them. If the location is determined, then whether there is this location clue or not is not very useful." This does make sense. Location clues, if the location is exposed, the clue itself is indeed not important, and the only thing Zhang Zizai lacks is the location clue. Second, I need to continue to get stronger. Until I can fight him. You still want to get stronger here? The gap is too big, it may be in vain. Sikong Xiao shook his head. Zhang Zizai glanced at her. It was normal for her to have no confidence in herself because she was defeated so quickly this time, but Zhang Zizai could not lose confidence in himself. It's better than not doing anything. Let me try, he said with a smile, and it seems that he is not particularly confident about this matter. Maybe many people will think that he has given up completely after seeing this. Okay, then I will make the last effort with you. No matter whether we win or lose, we have tried our best and we have a clear conscience. She is really a good girl. She can still stand on Zhang Zizai's side at this time. If it were someone else, they would have sighed and given up long ago. Yes, at least, our 1,000 kinds of beast blood have been successfully collected. I never want to encounter this kind of source beast again, Sikong Xiao pouted. I would like to touch it a few more times. After all, it would be nice to taste it a few more times, haha. Go to hell. I'll crush you to death. Sikong Xiao's face flushed. When she thought of her behavior just now, it was vivid in her mind. Thinking that so many people saw it on the origin, her heart was beating fast. I didn't expect that the atmosphere would be so good after their defeat. And judging from their behavior, they were still persisting. This made the strong men of the divine sect on the origin laugh. At this time, they are still seriously returning to the previous rhythm. Are they sure they are not joking? More than half of the hundreds of people on the origin have already warmly congratulated the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace. 5 clues, thousands of beast bloods, the overall situation has been decided. The Wood God Palace and the Spirit God Palace have basically given up. Even the proud Lord of the Sword God Palace could only shake his head and sigh when he saw Yishan defeat the June brothers and sisters and the Beast God Palace team one after another. The gap in strength is too big. The suspense of the ancient Son of God completely destroyed the two battles. Yishan is really a rare genius of our divine section. He was born for the ancient Son of God. Perhaps the sect master also designed the final selection of the ancient Son of God for him. It's ridiculous that we thought there would be suspense before, but now it seems that our thoughts are ridiculous. He was calm and understated, but no one could stop his strength. Zhang Zizai looked good before, but he was crushed when he really met him. I think, not counting Tianyi, the other 8 people joined forces, all trapped in his chess game of heaven and earth, and they are really not his opponents. These are not the words of ordinary people, but the words of the Holy Spirit servant who is stronger than the Flame Dragon Emperor. They have their own insights and experience. With their attainments in martial arts cultivation, they can see the gap between Yishan and others very clearly. The ancient Son of God must transcend everything, and Yishan does this perfectly. He was so powerful that all the efforts of others seemed in vain. Let's bet on how long it will take Yishan to get the black dragon-shaped key. They were happy and had already started to guess. He has to find that place, and then spend a few days defeating the totem puppets and collecting that kind of talisman. Zhang Zizai had better not meet them again, otherwise the talismans on his body will probably be taken away. At that time, all the efforts of the Beast God Palace will become Yishan's capital. The Spirit God Palace collected so much beast blood, but it was still taken away. I guess, within 10 days. 20 days. especially the strong men of the heavenly God Palace, they were already smiling. The ancient Son of God will further improve the status of the heavenly God Palace. In the next few hundred years, the status of the heavenly God Palace as the first God Palace may never be shaken. The strong men of the Spirit God Palace and the Wood God Palace had to admit their defeat and join their celebration. The Origin looked happy. Amid their laughter, Zhang Zizai moved forward in a low-key manner. He had collected thousands of beast bloods. While cultivating and growing, he also spent some time to study a sun-level talisman. All his current talismans are moon-level talismans. Now he has been familiar with drawing moon-level talismans, so almost since he entered the battlefield of Wuxian, as long as he had a little time, he had already started to study higher-level talismans. Now that the beast blood collection was successful, he had more time. The talisman he chose was called Wuxian, Avasai Hell Talisman. Judging from the name, it is not at the same level as the previous talismans. The Avasai Hell Talisman is actually an upgrade of the Magic Miasma Talisman. It was chosen because Zhang Zizai already had the Magic Miasma Talisman as a foundation. As the name suggests, the Avasai Hell Talisman allows Zhang Zizai to create an Avasai Hell in the surrounding space to achieve a similar effect to a field. The Magic Miasma Talisman is Miasma. The Avasai Hell Talisman is Death Air in Hell, which is more intense than Miasma and has a tenfold increase in lethality. It can tear the opponent's skin like a poisonous insect and rush into the opponent's body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 353. When it enters the body, it has greater lethality, can quickly corrode flesh, internal organs, and soften bones. This hellish death energy puts people in the ABI hell, suffering all the time, and their combat effectiveness is greatly reduced. The source of this hell's death energy is Zhang Zizai's death god Minglong Qi. Without the evolutionary source of death, it would be difficult to create hell's death energy. After seeing the power of the heaven and earth chess game Totem, it can be said that he is a little in awe of this domain type Totem. The one that can deal with this kind of field is a stronger field. Zhang Zizai's Totem does not have a field type, so he can only supplement it in the talisman. There is no realm, he wants to create his own ABI Hell realm. However, the difficulty of the Japanese level Totem talisman is very high, and it cannot be succeeded in a short time. From the beginning, Zhang Zizai took some time to study every day, but the progress was very slow. If he can get it done, he will be a Japanese level Totem talisman master. A talisman master of this level is considered to be a top-level existence even in the Shen zone. But, how could he be willing to carry the name of a loser for too long? The life we live now is a life of hard work and hardship. Sikong Xiao was right next to him, and only she could see the look in Zhang Zizai's eyes most clearly. He was calm, but the raging fire deep in his eyes told her that he was always ready to avenge himself. Sikong Xiao felt that he had almost no chance of success, but she really admired Zhang Zizai's courage to go against the current. The battle was defeated by Yishan, but the totem puppet still appeared as usual. Zhang Zizai cultivated and improved while searching for the special features of Wuxian battlefield. Another sun talisman was torn into pieces, and he devoted himself to practice. Fiery light burned on his body, and endless heat entered his brain, forming a scorching sun in it. In the scorching sun, a golden dragon entrenched itself. It was Zhang Zizai's power of the Holy Dragon of the Sun. Forging the 8th level of the Holy Body realm is very difficult, and it is the level that one should not be anxious about. It was not until today that Zhang Zizai successfully forged it. In terms of realm, he finally sprinted to the same level as Sikong Xiao, reaching the 8th level of the Holy Body realm. From then on, the only thing missing from the cultivation of the Holy Body realm was a sea of totems. From the 8th level of the mysterious vein realm when he first came to Shenzone to the 8th level of the Holy Body realm now, his progress was actually much faster than Yi Tian's back then. However, the elders and powerful men only look at the current strength, because only the current strength determines the position of the ancient Son of God. At the 8th level of the Holy Body realm, Zhang Zizai's strength has skyrocketed to a certain extent. It may be because apart from the Totem C, the 8th level of the Holy Body has been completed. After reaching the 8th level of the Holy Body, the whole body is actually a perfect Holy Body. The Totem C is a realm added to the Holy Body. The Holy Body is fully integrated, whether it is the power of the Holy Dragon or the true energy of the Death Dragon, there has been a huge surge. Compared with when he was promoted to the 7th level of the Holy Body realm, the increase was much larger. This was an unexpected surprise for Zhang Zizai. Although I'm not sure I can deal with Yi Tian now, at least facing the Jun family siblings, Tianyi and the others, I can easily defeat them with my own strength. This is Zhang Zizai's very clear understanding of himself. He is the only one who can progress in the inanimate battlefield. For example, Lin Hanyu and the others have been wandering around doing nothing for a long time. Zhang Zizai still has a very strict training plan. Even the defeat last time did not affect his rhythm. This is actually the scary thing about him, because even at such a low point, he did not give up, and even practiced calmly, allowing himself to achieve a breakthrough in his realm. This improvement in cultivation came just in time. Zhang Zizai stood up immediately. In excitement, he hugged Sikong Xiao's waist with both hands and happily lifted her up and spun her around several times. "What are you doing?" "Put me down," Sikong Xiao said anxiously. "Happy, haha. It's too early to be happy. We don't have much time." Sikong Xiao quickly pulled away his hand. This guy was going too far. With so many people watching, he still had such contact with her. Do you even lift yourself up and spin around, thinking that you are his daughter? After the excitement subsided, Zhang Zizai calmed down. There really isn't much time. It has been 10 days since Bai Yishan got the clue. They have also been looking for some special places in Wushan battlefield. Next, they repeat the process. At a certain moment one day later, Zhang Zizai suddenly slapped his head and said, "Do you remember the lake where you bathed last time? There was still sunlight nearby, and there were white bones under the lake." Sikong Xiao was startled and said, "You don't think that the black key might be in that place, do you?" Zhang Zizai smiled and said, "Why not? We have almost visited the inanimate battlefield. In your memory, is there anything more special than there? Is there any place more terrifying than there? Actually, I had such a guess before, but I really didn't dare to go there." Sikong Xiao thought of those water ghosts and couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Tens of thousands of them, densely packed, making chirping sounds, trying to gnaw everything into corpses. The densely packed snow-white corpses at the bottom of the lake explain everything. Although I'm not sure, we can go there. It's a gamble anyway. He didn't go before because he wasn't strong enough. Now, he thinks he can give it a try. In addition to the breakthrough in strength, he has made great progress in the Avasai Hell Talisman in recent days. He can almost draw the first one. As long as there is success, the next step will be much easier. Okay, let's try our luck anyway, but I don't want to get too close. Don't worry, you were able to escape in such a thrilling way last time. Now that you are prepared, there will definitely be no problem. Zhang Zizai could only comfort her and trick her over there. After all, a two-person team must act together. About 5 days later, Zhang Zizai arrived at that place. In the middle, he encountered a totem puppet, but he didn't expect that the totem puppet was stronger, and he had a lot of trouble beating it. This is actually a good thing, because he estimated that Yishan's totem puppet would not be too easy. Now there are about 14 days in total, which means that Yishan may have obtained 2 sun talismans, while Zhang Zizai still has 3. His biggest gamble now is that if this location is the 5th clue, then he and Yishan are actually on the same level. I just don't know if not really getting the clue will affect the competition for the black dragon-shaped key later. Everything is unknown. Only by fighting to the death can we have a chance to ascend to heaven. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 354. For now, no one is here yet. Zhang Zizai and Sikong Xiao appeared quietly near the lake. Their position was some distance away from the lake. They were lurking on a mountain peak. From this position, they could see the entire lake. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Zhang Zizai sensed it with the 10,000 breath talisman, and sure enough, there was a very strong breath of life in the lake. Other than that, there was no one else around except them. Ming Yishan and the others were not nearby. They know the location clues, but they haven't come here for half a month. This probably means that this is not the place at all, Sikong Xiao said worriedly. Wait a minute, Zhang Zizai took one look, then hid himself and continued to study the Abi Hell talisman. The one in his hand was basically successful. If we wait any longer, what if they find the black dragon-shaped key somewhere else, relying on 5 clues, the sun talisman and thousands of animal bloods? Sikong Xiao asked. She was completely on Zhang Zizai's side now, and she had given up on Yishan. Now, she has put aside everything. If there is a chance, she certainly hopes Zhang Zizai can win. Zhang Zizai smiled and said, then there's nothing we can do. It means we don't have this fate with the ancient Son of God. However, this time I came here, I have a better intuition that something will happen here. You're not a woman, what kind of intuition do you have? Nonsense, Sikong Xiao rolled her eyes at him, looking very cute and cute. Zhang Zizai was smiling and confident. His focus was entirely on the talisman, and he was ready to wait here. If he needs to continue practicing with the sun talisman, or if the totem puppet is about to arrive, he will move to the outside so as not to disturb the group of monsters in the lake. If he hadn't lost his clue, Zhang Zizai wouldn't have been so passive and could only wait here. However, 3 days later, he finally waited for the first group of people. Not Yi Tian, but Xiu Hong and Miao Yu. After they arrived here, they did not approach the lake, but lurked nearby like Zhang Zizai and others. It seems that they have been here before and have the same guess as us, Sikong Xiao said. They probably only have one clue, so there is no hope. They might as well guess the location of the black dragon-shaped key. This is the right approach. Maybe they can try their luck in the end. They have thought of it together with us. Now, Zhang Zizai saw their existence, but they did not notice Zhang Zizai's existence. What should we do now? Sikong Xiao asked. Keep waiting until Yishan and the others come here. Are you sure they'll find their way here? Just watch. They probably had clues to the location. The more Zhang Zizai looked at this place, the more he felt that this would be the most special place. Joshi? What exactly is involved? He began to pay attention to this time clue. There was sunlight here, and Zhang Zizai could tell the time. Generally, the sun would disappear at night. He estimated when the ugly time would come, and then paid full attention to all the movements around him. For an entire hour, he was in extreme concentration. At a certain moment, in the middle of the night, a ray of sunlight suddenly shone down on the water of the lake. This ray of sunlight was relatively dim and could not be seen clearly, and it only flickered and disappeared in an instant. However, it is obviously late at night, how can there be sunshine? Zhang Zizai suddenly saw that when the sun's rays shone into the lake, the entire lake boiled, and the water ghosts woke up from their slumber, extremely restless. But because the sun's rays disappeared instantly, the restlessness quickly disappeared. There's a problem, Sikong Xiao also saw it. The sun's rays appeared at midnight, making those water ghosts restless. There must be something mysterious in it. I am 70% sure that it must be related to our test. Zhang Zizai squinted his eyes. Your intuition is quite accurate, so what should we do now? Zhang Zizai thought for a while and said, those water ghosts are dangerous things. Don't scare them away. Moreover, Xuanhuan and the others are still nearby. Moreover, we have no idea how to use the sun talisman and 1,000 kinds of beast blood. Although he was somewhat certain that this was the location, the specific clue would have a great impact, so Zhang Zizai did not act rashly. The position of the ancient son of God is not so easy to grab. He estimates that even if he has the 5 major conditions, he may not be able to succeed. A few nights ago, the sun's rays must have suddenly shone on the lake, but Zhang Zizai didn't notice it because the time was too short. Over the next few nights, he made observations and discovered to his surprise that the same thing would happen every time it was ugly. This shows that the black dragon-shaped key is probably at the bottom of the lake, but how to take it out is a big problem. Zhang Zizai thought about it for a while, and he told Sikong Xiao that he wanted to go and have a look alone. It's too dangerous. Let me go with you, she said worriedly. Don't worry, I can escape quickly by myself. In the late night, he gradually approached the lake. I originally wanted to see the mystery of the sun's rays up close, but I didn't expect that not long after I came out, I saw another group of people arriving. It was Hualei and Lin Hanji. They were one behind the other, with Lin Hanji walking in front and Hualei following behind listlessly. Later, there is a lake here, do you want to take a bath? Lin Hanyu asked excitedly. Lake, is the water clear? Hualei's beautiful eyes sparkled, and she saw the lake a few steps forward. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. She has been here for too long, and she is covered in dirt. This beauty has long been unbearable. Her eyes glowed, and she said to Lin Hanyu, stay away, don't get close. But I still have to take care of your safety. No need, don't move, Hualei warned. Okay, Lin Hanyu nodded. In fact, he must have some little tricks in his mind. He would not peek directly, after all, there were so many people watching. He thought that if there was such a lake in this place, there might be some source beasts. If Hualei was frightened at that time, he could completely save the beauty. Hualei warned him and jumped away. Unexpectedly, before she had taken 2 steps, Zhang Zizai came out from the side and said in a serious voice, don't go over there, this lake is dangerous. Brother Zizai, finally seeing him again, Hualei immediately forgot about bathing and rushed over to hug Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai quickly held her down and said, you stink too much, I'll give you some cleansing talismans. Wow! I actually have this treasure, thank you Brother Zizai. She was so happy that she used it directly and soon felt clean and refreshed. Leave here quickly, the lake is dangerous, don't get close, Zhang Zizai warned. They obviously came here for the first time and got here by mistake. If Zhang Zizai didn't stop him and let Hualei go in to take a bath by herself, Hualei would be in trouble. It's dangerous, then we won't get close, Hualei stuck out her tongue. Lin Hanyu was so depressed. I thought I could get closer to Hualei, but I didn't expect Zhang Zizai to appear again. He's really haunting. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 355. Zhang Zizai, we are your competitors. You don't want us to get close to this lake. Could it be that the black key is in this lake? Just when Hualei was about to obey and leave, Lin Hanyu suddenly looked serious. Rhetorical question. Zhang Zizai frowned and said, whatever you think, but I still remind you that this lake is very dangerous. If you lose your life if you get close, I will not be responsible, because I have made it very clear. If Lin Hanyu guessed like this, it would be difficult to drive him away. He squinted his eyes and thought, and then said to Hualei, we can't leave. Maybe Sikong Xiao is inside looking for the key. He is stalling for time, later, maybe we have a chance. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Thinking of this, he was already very excited. After all, they had no chance at all now and finally saw a glimmer of hope. I still believe in Brother Zizai. Hualei's answer made Lin Hanyu so angry that he vomited blood. Zhang Zizai said seriously, Lin Hanyu, I really advise you to leave. As a competitor, I have done my best to say this. If you really want to die, I will not stop you. He waved his hand, and then said to the 10,000 Shadows Ring, please listen to Lin Mu, Holy God Attendant. I have stopped your son out of morality, but if he doesn't believe it and still flies into the flames, then you can't blame me. His method made Lin Hanyu laugh. He said, you are so cunning. You even thought of using my father to suppress me. Unfortunately, this only exposed your inner nervousness. Lin Hanyu, don't think too much. We are not destined to be the son of the ancient god. Just save your lives. Don't engage in unnecessary competition, Hualei said a little depressed. Hualei, it seems that you don't want to win glory for Mu Shen Palace at all. In this case, I can only work hard on my own. You are here and continue to be bewitched by this shameless person, Lin Hanyu said with red eyes. At this point, instead of retreating, they rushed towards the lake. He was probably afraid of Zhang Zizai intercepting him, so he was very fast. Zhang Zizai shook his head. After all, his life was at stake, so he rushed forward to hold Lin Hanyu down. But the more he behaves like this, the more Lin Hanyu thinks there is something wrong with him. When Zhang Zizai went up, he suddenly attacked back and shot a heart-piercing arrow towards Zhang Zizai. As soon as Zhang Zizai dodged the heart-piercing arrow, he had already rushed far away, and even Zhang Zizai couldn't stop him. Lin Mu, I've tried my best, Zhang Zizai could only stop and say to Wan Yingjia. Then, he decisively turned around and took Hualei's little hand to leave. Who knows what changes will happen to the lake if Linhan prison goes up now? Brother Zizai, you are not partial to us, are you? Hualei said nervously. Absolutely not. Then Lin Hanyu. Before she finished speaking, Lin Hanji had already rushed to the lake. He bent his bow and arrows, held a large number of arrows, and fired towards the inside of the lake. In an instant, many arrows were shot out. Directly penetrated the lake water, causing a lot of waves. At this moment, just at the time of ugliness, a beam of sun in the sky shone on the lake in a short period of time. In an instant, the lake surged and boiled. Countless lakes set off huge waves that swept over them, and then within a short period of time, they turned into water-shaped people. These were all monsters and water ghosts, numbering in the tens of thousands. What is this? Lin Hanyu was stunned for a moment. He remembered everything Zhang Zizai had said to him. Sikong Xiao is not here, there are only these countless monsters. Let's go, in a hurry, he thought of escaping, and at the same time he kept shooting arrows with the magic dispersing arrow method. But the key was that he could only pierce the water-shaped man at most, but he could not kill him because the arrows came from the body. If it penetrates, there will be no harm at all. Perhaps because of the sun's rays, the water ghosts this time were more rioting than last time. They had to react last time, but this time they swept away at a terrifying speed. Lin Hanyu's speed was already very fast, but he didn't expect that he would be completely swallowed up by the lake water ghost in a short period of time. Linhan prison, Hualei screamed in fright. At this time, Lin Hanyu's earth-shattering screams could be heard inside. It was extremely miserable, and it was the sound of flesh and blood being devoured. Zhang Zizai had no choice but to leave with Hualei and retreat to a safe distance. Obviously, Lin Hanyu's luck was not as good as last time. It may be because of the sun's rays. At this time, the water ghosts were extremely violent. They woke up instantly and attacked in unison, which made Lin Hanyu suffer from the terrible situation. Zhang Zizai turned around and looked around. At this time, A large number of water ghosts melted into the lake water again, and he could vaguely see a snow-white corpse falling into the lake with the waves. Judging from the outline of the corpse, there is no doubt that it belongs to Lin Hanyu. He's actually dead. Zhang Zizai was extremely shocked. The snow-white bones were obviously those of Lin Hanyu. He was swallowed by the water ghost and died instantly. Zhang Zizai didn't know yet, but it turned out that the final selection of the ancient Son of God could cost death if he was not careful. Lin Hanyu is dead. Died to his conceit and self-righteousness. Also died of his stupidity. He died because of his bad mood. Every time he saw Zhang Zizai, he couldn't control his heart at all. After devouring Linhan prison, the sunlight had long since disappeared and the lake water had returned to normal. But that scene in front of everyone can never be forgotten for a long time. Because they are all likely to be the next Lin Hanyu. Brother Zizai, he must be fine. He may have just been eliminated by the sect master. Maybe he is on the origin now, right? Huale said in a daze. Maybe Zhang Zizai said helplessly. He looked at Huale and said, to be honest, this place is too dangerous for you. It's best not to get close to here. No, I'm scared. I want to follow you. She looked a little panicked. Although she didn't like Lin Hanyu, they grew up together after all. Now tears were streaming down her face. She regretted, I should have stopped him like you. It's useless. I couldn't stop him. People should pay the corresponding price for their decisions. This is the most helpless. Zhang Zizai shook his head. Lin Hanyu is dead. However, the final selection of the ancient Son of God must continue. Sikong Xiao quickly gathered up. Tears, don't cry. Sikong Xiao hugged her distressedly. She and Zhang Zizai looked at each other. In fact, I really didn't expect that someone would actually die. I thought that even if there was a fatal crisis, the sect master would take the person away and eliminate him directly. Zhang Zizai was shocked. I can only say that the two sect masters gave a truly terrible test. This made Zhang Zizai have to consider the possibility of death in all his subsequent actions. If he was killed by the totem puppet, he would really die. There are 3 more chapters today, updated within 1 hour. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 356. On the origin, through the crystal and the 10,000 shadows ring, people watched Lin Hanyu turn into bones bit by bit. Water ghosts are like devils, they cannot be merciful in front of food. When Lin Hanyu's corpse fell to the bottom of the lake and was piled up with other snow-white skeletons, making it difficult to tell which ones belonged to him, the entire origin was silent. Then, Lin Mu burst into tears. He screamed in pain and made a gesture to rush off the origin and go to the lake not far below. Maybe he wanted to fish out the bones. The person is already dead, there is no use in fishing him out. He just doesn't want to admit this fact. In the end, the master of Mushen Palace held him back, shook his head and said, "This is the arrangement of the sect master, Han Yu's own decision, and his life. Please forgive me." Lin Mu gritted his teeth and his eyes were cold. He scanned for a week and found the master of Mushen Palace, as well as Feng Xiaoao and the others. I know how he died. If it weren't for Zhang Zizai, he wouldn't have gone there in anger, Lin Mu said in a hoarse voice. Feng Xiaoao said depressedly, "Stop talking nonsense. Zhang Zizai has advised him countless times and even tried to pull him away. It's just that your son is in a really bad state of mind and has a stupid mind. Otherwise, how could he be so impulsive? Lin Mu, you don't blame others, it's your own responsibility to educate your son." "Shut up. Feng Xiaoao, you and I are irreconcilable." Lin Mu's eyes were bloodshot. "Lin Mu, back off, Palace Master Mu Shen scolded. Everyone knew that this death was due to Lin Hanyu's lack of brains. He was seeking death himself and could not blame anyone. In the Wuxian battlefield, everyone is a competitor. Zhang Zizai did not lure him to the lake, and he had already done his best. Lin Mu, the sect leader, is watching. Even the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace doesn't like him causing trouble here. Because they want to continue looking down. It was obvious that the characters in Crystal number 1 and Crystal number 2 were approaching the lake at this time. They seemed to be searching everywhere. According to their speed, they would reach the lake sooner or later. In fact, too many people gathered in this strange place, which was a bit detrimental to the Tianjin Palace team. If this location is really the location where the black dragon-shaped key is hidden, and too many people are here, the Celestial Palace's clue advantage will be gone. It's just that even the palace masters on the origin know that this place is special. They also saw changes in the sun's rays and water ghosts during the ugly time, but they are unable to confirm whether this is the real final location. After Lin Hanyu died, Hualei was sad and confused for a while. In fact, no matter how much she hated him, she still didn't want him to leave this world. So she blamed herself a little. Sikong Xiao comforted her for a long time, but she was still a little lost. The three of them hid first, but Zhang Zizai knew that Xiu Hong and Miao Yu who were hiding must have known about their existence. After all, there was such a huge movement just now. I originally wanted to take a closer look at Zhou Shi, but I didn't expect Lin Han prison to go there first. This shows that the lake in Zhou Shi is extremely dangerous. Even if I get close, I will definitely die. Zhang Zizai was still a little scared when he thought about it. Fortunately, Lin Hanyu appeared, otherwise he might have died. All his flesh and blood have been eaten, and even the talisman of immortality may not be able to save him. Then what should we do now? Sikong Xiao asked sadly, holding Hualei in his arms. Just wait and see what happens, there is nothing we can do now. Zhang Zizai naturally had a headache. When he was not absolutely sure, he decided to be more stable first. The further he delays it, the better it might be for him. He stood in a tree and meditated. The ABI Hell Talisman has been completed. I will use this time to draw a few more. Now, I am a Japanese level Totem Talisman Master. In terms of realm, at the 8th level of the Holy Body realm, his combat power is indeed much higher than that of Sikong Xiao and the others. But facing Yi Tian's Totem of the Heaven and Earth chess game, he may not be sure. He is higher than me in both Totem and realm. A level. To be honest, Zhang Zizai didn't pay much attention to the other 8 competitors. Even if Tianyi is at the 9th level of the Holy Body realm, Zhang Zizai is still very confident. Only Yishan is still at the peak of genius. Zhang Zizai thought deeply, if I can open up the Totem Sea, I will be more confident. The opening up of the Totem Sea is a one-time thing. It is different from cultivating the Holy Body. I can open it now, but if I fail, it may lead to failure. The recovery period takes half a year. If you're not sure, it's best not to rush to open up the Totem Sea. Sikong Xiao and the others only dared to open up the Totem Sea after making all kinds of preparations. Otherwise, half a year will be wasted. In the realm of Totem Sea, it is best to succeed once and for all. For us, wasting half a year could be very fatal. Zhang Zizai has been familiar with the method of opening the Totem Sea in the Sun Moon Star Holy Dragon Body training technique, and has practiced it secretly several times, but this is not the same concept as true opening. He himself estimated that if he used his current control to open up the Totem Sea, the chance of success would be only 30%. The other 70% is that he will become a useless person in the next 6 months. Historically, too many people were left idle for half a year because of the failure to open up the Totem Sea. After half a year, you will basically be left behind by your peers. The gain outweighs the loss. This was something that required great caution, so Zhang Zizai didn't think much about it for the time being. From the current point of view, the strength of the 8th level of the Holy Body realm is still sufficient. Yishan, even though his totem ability is powerful, he himself is not so strong that it is difficult to fight against him. Zhang Zizai knew it well. Lin Hanyu was dead, and Hualei didn't know where to go. She probably didn't have the courage to leave alone, so Zhang Zizai could only let her follow. The day passed quietly, and Zhang Zizai had just finished 10 ABI Hell Talismans. According to time estimates, it was already close to the ugly time. This time, Zhang Zizai didn't plan to investigate anymore. The lessons learned from Linhan prison are still vivid in his mind. However, if others wanted to investigate, he would not stop them. Brother Zizai, is it possible that the key is in this lake? Hualei asked. Zhang Zizai nodded. It's so difficult. Even Yi Tian can't handle this kind of monster. She reminded Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai squinted his eyes and thought for a while, then said, so, the sect master must have given us a way to subdue these monsters. Either the blood of 1,000 kinds of beasts, or the sun talisman. However, the quantity of these two things is still very small now, and it would be a waste if the attempt fails. Just when Zhang Zizai had a headache, he suddenly saw Yi Tian and Tianyi finally finding their way here. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 357. When the two of them came here, the sky and the earth were pitch black. They were obviously here for the first time, and like Hualei and the others, they were not very familiar with the surroundings. However, they were very cautious, especially after discovering the lake. Tianyi originally wanted to approach directly, but Yi Tian held him back, vaguely seeming to hear him say, such a clear lake should not appear on a battlefield, it may be dangerous. They stopped and began to test. Before even testing, Yishan's eyes scanned the surroundings, and his eyes turned black and white again. Xuanhuan, Miao Yu. Come out. Unexpectedly, he discovered the lurker so quickly. Zhang Zizai asked Sikong Xiao and the others to hide because they were a little far away and Yi Tian didn't seem to notice them for the time being. Stop hiding and get out. Tianyi had a hot temper and went directly in the direction indicated by Yishan. Both Xuanhuan were frightened by them, so they could only show up at this time. The two of them looked downcast and said, I didn't expect that you would have discovered this. Yi Tian squinted his eyes and asked, what are you hiding here? There are no clues on you, so I guess the key may be hidden here. Why don't you come here to try your luck? Xuanhuan said, isn't this very obvious? Otherwise, what else do you think we can do? Naturally, we can just focus on the most special place. Yishan and Tianyi looked at each other. Tianyi looked at the lake and said, so, it might be here. Just as he was about to step forward to take a look, Xuanhuan and Miao Yu looked at each other. Xuanhuan hesitated for a moment and then said, Tianyi, it's best not to get close. Lin Hanyu went up yesterday despite the advice and is already dead. He knew that Tianyi would definitely die if he went up there. If they don't stop it, it will definitely be troublesome and there will be a lot of condemnation. Lingshen Palace naturally does not want to have a bad relationship with Tianshen Palace. Lin Hanyu is dead, Tianyi and Yishan were both stunned. Yes, I saw with my own eyes that he turned into a corpse. This is not a lake, but a trap composed of thousands of water ghosts. The two of them were creepy. Yi Tian asked, then have you seen what is under the lake? Xuanhuan shook his head and said, we dare not approach such a dangerous place. Yi Tian and Tianyi whispered a few words, and then Tianyi said, we understand, you should go quickly and leave here. If we find you back again, we will not be polite. We must at least let you lie down for half a day. It can't be moved for months until we get the keys. Sure enough, he would expel others. This was not beyond Xuanhuan and Miao Yu's expectations. How could they allow them to stay here if they found out? Maybe we can help you, Miao Yu said. No need. Just go as far as you want, Tianyi said in a deep voice. The two people could only lower their heads, but when they left, Xiaokun whispered, to be honest, the relationship between Lingshen Palace and Tianshan Palace is good. We also admire you, Yi Tian. You are indeed more suitable than anyone else to be the son of the ancient god. I won't bother you anymore. But as friends, we have to remind you that Zhang Zizai, Sikong Xiao and Hualei are definitely nearby. Get them away before you make any move. There is no hope anyway, so it is better to sell a favor. Really? Thank you very much, Zhu Hong. After you go out, come to Tianshan Palace more often. My brother will take you to eat and drink. Tianyi smiled. The other party mentioned such an important matter, obviously wanting to get closer to each other, so Tianyi naturally would not refuse. I'll take my leave now. The two of them left without any hesitation at all. Tianyi and Yaishan were left behind. They glanced around with cold eyes. Among them, Tianyi said, Zhang Zizai, come out quickly. Don't hide. I haven't settled the debt with you yet. He was defeated by Zhang Zizai and Sikong Xiao, and he felt ashamed. Last time it was Yaishan who took action, but he didn't interfere. If he could catch Zhang Zizai and the others this time, he wouldn't be polite. Xiaokun would indeed expose them, which was not beyond Zhang Zizai's expectation. Yaishan will definitely not let them stay here. Let's go first. Without saying a word, Zhang Zizai quietly left with the two beauties before the other party noticed him. But if we leave, they can get the key right away, Sikong Xiao said a little reluctantly. It's not that easy. Take a look at the situation. Don't leave too far, Zhang Zizai said in a deep voice. In the distance behind them, Yaishan and the others were already searching for their location everywhere. As long as they can't find it, they certainly won't dare to act rashly. Zhang Zizai used the 10,000 breath talisman to grasp their positions and keep a certain distance. They finally found the lake, and they would definitely not be able to chase them out. With the 10,000 breath talisman to control the distance, Zhang Zizai had the advantage. The ancient son of God is not just a duel of strength, but also a battle of wits and courage. So what if there are so many clues? When they all gather here, Yaishan and the others stand out from the crowd, and they may not have an absolute advantage. What Zhang Zizai didn't expect was that in the process, they would also meet the Junji Unsheng brother and sister who were passing by. Sure enough, as if there was some arrangement by the sect master, at this last moment, they all gathered here. Of course, they didn't get many clues, so they had the same idea as Xiaokong and the others, looking for special places everywhere and trying their luck. Then we followed the sun's rays and came here. Is it you three? Junji Unsheng and the others were also a little surprised. Junmuxi, Hualei, and Sikong Xiao have a good relationship, so they don't compete together as soon as they meet. Where is Linhan prison? Junji Unsheng asked. Sikong Xiao quickly recounted what happened. It's really troublesome for him to get your clues and find this place. Junji Unsheng frowned. Zhang Zizai's eyes were blazing and he said, so, the only way to stop them now is for the five of us to join forces. He has already got clues from all of us, and the rules don't say that we can't besiege. Even if we don't use clues as the goal, it should be possible to stop them, right? In this way, you have the greatest certainty. Zhang Zizai's words made them think for a while. After that, Junji Unsheng said, rather than just sit back and wait for death, it is better to make a final splash. No matter what the outcome is, at least Yaishan cannot easily become the son of the ancient god. Brother Zhang is right, we can go together. But even if we go together, we're not sure. He's too strong. Hualei hesitated. Don't you have confidence in me? Zhang Zizai patted her shoulder. Of course. Layer has also decided that we must go all out. Even if we fail, it proves that we have worked hard, right? They really don't have a lot of confidence, and that's normal. However, Zhang Zizai recognized their abilities and they were actually very strong. As long as they form an advantage in the battle, their confidence will skyrocket. This is also an opportunity for Zhang Zizai to reverse the situation of the battle. Can't go back anymore. Superior. The five of them, instead of retreating, rushed towards Yi Tian and his companions. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 358. Yishan and Tianyi were searching everywhere for Zhang Zizai and the others. They have found a place that seems to be the target location, but if they don't deal with the flies around them, it is naturally impossible for them to try directly. Xuanhuan and the others did not dare to get closer, but Zhang Zizai and the others had to be dealt with. Of all the competitors, who gave the two of them a little headache was definitely Zhang Zizai. Only Tianyi himself knew how angry Yi Tian was when he saw the two of them kissing. If it weren't for the protection of the golden shield, he might even have killed someone at that time. Ever since his talent exploded, no one could take anything away from him, not even Tianyi. However, Zhang Zizai snatched it away. So when he found Zhang Zizai, Yishan's eyes were cold. The two of them never expected that Zhang Zizai would show up on his own initiative, and as soon as he showed up, there would be 5 people there. Hualei, Jun Muxi, and Jun Jiansheng, who usually respected him, were actually standing beside Zhang Zizai at this time. Their intention is very clear, they want to prevent Yi Tian from becoming the son of the ancient god. He glanced at Sikong Xiao. She was right next to Zhang Zizai. The moment she and Yishan looked at each other, her body subconsciously moved closer to Zhang Zizai. This shows that subconsciously, she thinks Zhang Zizai is the one to rely on. No one knows how much anger this move made Yi Tian feel. His eyes were like black and white chess pieces, cold and emotionless. Are you really going to fight against me together? Facing the joint gesture of the 5 people, Yi Tian remained completely calm, with only indifference in his eyes. Even if the 5 people came together, in his eyes, they seemed to be just a group of ants. Jun Jiansheng said, "That's natural. We are all here to compete for the son of the ancient god. How can we allow you to become one easily?" "Very good, then don't blame me for being rude," Yishan sneered, looking aloof, with stern and indifferent eyes. Tianyi next to him laughed dumbly and said, "Are you really naive? You think you can deal with us with more people? It's really funny. If you don't realize the difference in strength, you will only be stepped on by others. He can handle 2 of them alone, and the remaining 3 are no problem for Yishan." "Okay, we can solve it at once," Yi Tian said calmly. He seemed very relaxed. For him, by dealing with these people, he could get the black key at the same time. Tianyi squinted his eyes and saw Zhang Zizai. He sneered, "I gave him to you last time. Give him back to me this time. Can you do the other 4? Yi Tiandeo, it doesn't matter if there are 10. You can deal with anyone you want, and you can rest if you want." This means that if Zhang Zizai and the others are all involved, he can solve it alone. His tone was very calm, which showed his extraordinary confidence. This kind of confidence is also felt very strongly by the elders and powerful people on the origin. People saw that the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace had smiled, which showed that he believed that everything was already within his grasp. The Master of the Beast God Palace sighed slightly and said, "Zhang Zizai is impulsive. He has already endured his temper. He will wait until Yishan and the others start to take action against the lake, or even wait until both he and the water ghosts in the lake are injured before they come out. Let's do it now." "Where? What are the possibilities?" Sikong Jin said, "It's because we didn't let them realize the gap between themselves and Yi Tian, which made them too optimistic. One step is wrong, and the next step is wrong." Shi Jian said, "That is your responsibility. Before going in, you should let them know that even if 8 of them attack, they may not be able to defeat Yi Tian." Feng Xiaoao said, "Okay, Stop blowing, just watch. Shi Jian laughed dumbly and said, look. If there's anything good to see, let's count them. When will these 5 people be wiped out? In addition to the Spirit God Palace, the faces of the Master of the Wood God Palace and the Master of the Sword God Palace were not very good either. In the 2 major palaces, people sighed, blaming Zhang Zizhe for taking the lead. Such impulsive behavior will only make them completely lose the possibility. Okay, now, after the 5 of them lie down and Zhuhong and Miao Yu stay away, the 2 people from the Tianshan Palace can easily follow the clues and get the black dragon-shaped key without any interference. Forget it, this is destiny. Yi Tian is so transcendent. He has become the son of the ancient god. There is no suspense in itself. There is no need to struggle anymore. If Yi Tian doesn't become the son of the ancient god, then that's our Shen sect's problem. If word gets out, people will laugh at us. We're blind if we laugh at him. The entire origin number has basically been defaulted. Feng Xiaoao and Juxian looked at each other, both of them were helpless. It's not that they don't think highly of Zhang Zizhe, but based on their level, they really can't see what Zhang Zizhe can do against Yishan. Not a single bit of capital. Under their gaze, Yi Tian made no move, but Tianyi stood up confidently, pointed at Zhang Zizhe, and said, don't worry, you come out first, and we will have a private discussion. Zhang Zizhe said dumbly, you've defeated me, but you still dare to challenge me? Aren't you afraid of losing and losing your shit? Very good, you are good at talking, but without Sikong Xiao, you are just useless. Just come up and get beaten. Without that golden shield this time, I see how you will die. Zhang Zizhe smiled and walked out. Hualei quickly pulled him and said, Brother Zizhe, don't believe his tricks. Don't let them defeat him one by one. Junji Unsheng also said, Brother Zhang, let's join forces and attack together. Zhang Zizhe smiled, pinched Hualei's cheek, and said, you dare not believe my ability, look at me, I beat Tianyi to death, and call me daddy on the spot. It hurts. Hualei's nervous mood was completely destroyed by him. How can this guy be so relaxed? Obviously, he is worried to death. He even dared to ask Tianyi to call him daddy. He is really brave. Tianyi's daddy is the master of Tianshan Palace. Such remarks also attracted condemnation on the origin. But the master of Tianshan Palace was sure of victory, so he didn't continue to care. You are really brave. Tianyi snorted coldly and rushed directly. Zhang Zizhe also shot away without saying anything. The 2 geniuses directly confronted each other without any nonsense. Tianyi really believed that the last time he was defeated was largely due to Sikong Xiao's disgusting deceleration, which prevented him from displaying many of his skills. Now it finally exploded. Holy Fate Book Totem. The shining Holy Fate Book suppressed Zhang Zizhe's head. The totem magic weapon Divine Light also floated above his head, bursting out a fierce light that made people blind. These 2 methods are enough to suppress many opponents. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 359. The Holy Book of Destiny, Divine Light, these are all old methods. It seems that you haven't made any progress at all since you came to this lifeless battlefield. Zhang Zizhe smiled coldly. He used Xiaoao's movement skills to move around. Even if there was suppression from the Holy Book of Destiny, he could at least still move. Miasma Talisman. There are still a lot of magic miasma talismans in my hand. When the miasma sweeps away, the eye-closing effect of the divine light is ineffective. The strong light can only turn the miasma in the entire miasma range into gold, but it completely loses its control. The penetrating power of the eyes. Zhang Zizai held the magic eye and quickly shuttled through the miasma in the form of a long sword. On the contrary, Tianyi could not estimate his position. After his realm was upgraded to the 8th level of the Holy Body realm, his improvement was not just a tiny bit. At the 7th level of the Holy Body realm, he was able to join forces with Sikong Xiao to defeat him. Now, he is no longer the same person he was back then. His holy body has reached the 8th level of perfection. Zhang Zizai, I can admit that your talent is indeed good, but it's a pity that you are much stupider than Yi Tian. Yi Tian will recognize me as my father and adoptive father and find a supporter, but you are with the cursor and destroy your future. So stupid. Tianyi sneered while taking action. He cast the divine spell, a strange battle technique that allowed him to spit out golden words, which could suppress attacks and resist Zhang Zizai's attacks. You talk too much. Zhang Zizai dodged his divine curse and was able to maintain his speed under the suppression of the Holy Book of Fate, which surprised many people. I'm not blaming you, that cursor is so coquettish. I'm afraid the men I played with have less than 10,000 and maybe 5,000, but you can still do it. I really admire you, you are a role model for our generation. Tianyi clicked his tongue and smiled. He said all this just to make Zhang Zizai lose his mind. However, this will only make Zhang Zizai despise him. He really hates these people who speculate on others with their vulgar hearts. To this end, he responded with a violent storm, forming an absolutely crushing attack. 9 Palaces Heavenly Swordsmanship. The demonic eye exploded, and the death god Nether Dragon's true energy and the power of the sun, moon, and star holy dragon gathered together. The demonic eye showed the terrifying ability to shake the soul. At this moment, Zhang Zizai felt like the demonic god had arrived. He rose into the sky, and the 9 sword energies formed a 9 palace sword formation, sealing off Tianyi's 9 directions, and fell from the sky. This time the Zhigong heavenly swordsmanship is much more powerful than before. The 9 sword energies have almost doubled in size. Hurricane, lightning, flame, ice, golden thorn, wave, lois, etc., 9 types of sword energy with completely different attributes, supported by the true energy of the death god Nether Dragon, exploded like never before. Divine Curse. Tianyi's expression changed slightly, but he didn't take it seriously. He once again used the Divine Curse to resist, and at the same time shot the Divine Fist of Destiny in his hand. Ding ding ding. In an instant, people saw the explosion of Zhigong heavenly swordsmanship, directly tearing apart the divine heavenly curse, and directly faced Tianyi's divine fist of destiny. Soul Calling Talisman. Zhang Zizai played 10 talismans in succession, all of which were suppressed on Tianyi's head. This is a crushing. Affected by the soul-suppressing talisman and enveloped by the violent 9 palace sword formation, his divine fist of destiny was so powerless at this time. The Gang Qi from 3 consecutive punches was completely torn apart by Zhang Zizai, and the last sword Qi raged directly on Tianyi's arm. Click. At that moment, Tianyi let out an earth-shattering scream. From the screams, you can tell how much pain he is in. The wound was so big that it almost cut off his entire hand. In fact, the bones were broken, and only a little muscle and skin were still connected. This was almost the most painful state. Tianyi quickly held the severed hand, his face was pale, sweat was pouring down, and tears were flowing. His eyes were disbelieving, pained, and angry. Yaishan! He screamed because the death god Nether Dragon's chi was still in his hand. At this time, it turned into a grey dragon and was biting his flesh and blood. Seeing that the muscles in the wound were all corroded, the arm was still about to fall off. If he doesn't handle his current situation well, he will lose his arm in the future. Yi Tian had already appeared in front of him at this time. His eyes were cold and he quickly took out an unknown elixir and sprinkled it on the wound. Zhang Zizai, take away your true energy, Tianyi screamed in panic. Although the effect of the elixir is okay, if it cannot eradicate the true energy of the death god Minglong in a short period of time, it will cause continued damage to flesh and blood. Call me daddy, Zhang Zizai said casually. Tianyi is not a bitch, so let him bear this punishment. You are looking for death, Tianyi roared angrily, accidentally pulling on the wound, and screamed in pain. Anyway, in the end, Zhang Zizai didn't put away the chi of the death god Minglong, causing half of his arm to be almost useless. Although it was finally eradicated, his arm shrank like a baby's arm, became thin and short, completely turned gray-black, and lost all moisture. It can be said that if there is no magic pill to nurse him back to health in the future, he will really be in trouble. There is no use for birds anymore. As for his combat effectiveness, at least during the Wuxian battlefield, his combat effectiveness dropped by more than half. Now, these days, he is almost useless. Heal your wounds well. I won't be responsible if your poor little hand is broken by yelling, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. Tianyi's face was blood red. Kill him. Brother, help me kill him. He roared angrily. Now that his arm is like this, it's not certain whether it can recover in the future. With such hatred, he can only calm down if Zhang Zizai dies. Zhang Zizai said, don't be so violent, fighting and killing are not good at all. Only trash will ask others for help. Tianyi, you said I was trash, but you were crushed by trash, which means that you are a piece of shit. Do you accept it? In front of me, you can only be a piece of shit for the rest of your life. Tianyi gritted his teeth and almost bit off his lips. People really can't be too proud, otherwise, they are likely to suffer retribution. Enough, it's your turn. Yaishan put him in a safe place, then turned around and looked at Zhang Zizai and the other 5 with cold eyes. Finally, his eyes locked on Zhang Zizai. He said, Zhang Zizai, you have to leave 2 arms and 2 legs today. Zhang Zizai laughed dumbly, why bother so much, I'll give you my head. If you want, that's fine, since Lin Hanyu can die, you may not be unable to die, Yaishan said lightly, and when he spoke, he had already walked towards the 5 of them. All 5 of you will have to pay the price. How ruthless. She was still pursuing Sikong Xiao some time ago, but now she has to pay the price. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 360. Zhang Zizai might be able to bear defeating Tianyi. However, such a crushing defeat was beyond everyone's expectations, including Feng Xiaoyao, who was dumbfounded and said, did this kid take some magic medicine? In a place like the Wuxian battlefield, his realm has been breaking through. It is obvious that he has reached a new realm. That kind of talisman is useful for his cultivation. Juxian's beautiful eyes were shining, staring at Zhang Zizai in the crystal. She was the person who knew Zhang Zizai best, so she knew that the final selection experience in the Wuxian battlefield would also help his cultivation. She glanced at the Tianshan Palace Master. The young Tianshan Palace Master saw Tianyi's broken arm with his own eyes. His eyes at this time were probably not much different from the eyes he had when he knew Tianyuan's death many years ago. At that time, he had just become the Tianshan Palace Master. The entire Tianshan Palace was silent. But they had to admit that Zhang Zizai was stronger than Tianyi. After Zhang Zizai was defeated last time, no one took him seriously. Who could have guessed that he would perform so well again so soon? Wait for Yaishan to deal with him. The holy servants of the heavenly palace all thought so in their hearts. Yaishan is obviously angry. He will avenge Tianyi. This Zhang Zizai really offended him. Yaishan is not a vengeful person, but if you touch his reverse scale, he will definitely return it tenfold. As people expected, Yaishan walked into the battlefield alone. At this moment, his eyes were completely black and white, as cold as a machine. The majestic heaven and earth chess game true energy flowed around him. Xiao later, you restrict him, Zhang Zizai quickly arranged. Sikong Xiao's deceleration field was completely ineffective last time, and Hualei also had talismans and phantom techniques, which must have an impact on Yaishan. We can suppress his heaven and earth chess game, Junji Unsheng said. Their taking and yuking totem evolution sources do have a suppressive effect on the chessboard, especially yuking, which is originally a purification. The control of the chess game of heaven and earth can also be purified, it's just a matter of degree. In the face of a strong enemy like Yaishan, the 5 people are of one mind. They are very close, with Zhang Zizai standing in the front. When Zhang Zizai defeated Tianyi, they have recognized his strength, centered on him, obeyed his orders, and formed a core point. Go, when Yaishan was high above and opened the chess game of heaven and earth with an expressionless face, Zhang Zizai roared, and the 5 people were closely connected. In an instant, the chessboard of heaven and earth covered them again, trapping them in grids one by one. But this time, Zhang Zizai did not sit and wait for death. First, Jun Muxi took action. The reason why the brothers and sisters could hold on for so long last time was because she could resist the totem of the chess game of heaven and earth to the maximum extent. The ripples of yuking spread out, and around Jun Muxi, the barrier of the grid became thinner directly. The difficulty of their passing through the barrier was greatly reduced, so Yaishan's restrictions would also be reduced a lot. After this, Sikong Xiao's deceleration field, Hualei's Tianv Sanhuafu appeared, and together with Junji and Zhen's Wanjian field, a new space was formed for a time, completely confronting Yaishan's chess game of heaven and earth. Boom! In this case, with 4 people behind him to support and harass Yaishan, even if his Xianzhang of heaven and earth suppressed it again, it didn't seem so terrible. Zhang Zizai suddenly picked him up, and the 9 palaces heavenly sword technique in his hands swept through the sky-high sword energy. He could feel that the chess game of heaven and earth was in chaos, affecting his attack, but with Jun Muxi's help, and the other 3 people suppressing Yaishan, he could smoothly show his strength. Puff! The 9 palaces sword chi finally penetrated Yaishan's Xianzhang of heaven and earth. With Jun Muxi, it was difficult for Yaishan to move the chessboard to separate them. They were always together and very close to each other. The combination of all people's abilities was like a hedgehog, making it impossible for Yaishan to start. In addition to the power of the totem, they all have great characteristics. For example, Sikong Xiao's Soul Capture and 1000 Illusion Hands, Hualei's Dream Sakura Totem, can create a dream space, and then cast the Heavenly Girl Scattering Flower Talisman and the Soul Bewitching Talisman, and the Soul Capture together, it is a double soul shock. At this time, Zhang Zizai's Magic Eye and Soul Calming Talisman are added, which is the 4th level. They can come here, in addition to the realm strength, they are not ordinary people, they may be easily suppressed by Yaishan alone, but at this time, some control methods do make Yaishan's combat effectiveness greatly reduced. It may not be so easy for him to fight 8 alone. Not to mention that Junji Unsheng himself has a strong lethality. In addition to Zhang Zizai's 9 palaces heavenly sword technique, his sonic speed of 300 swords is terrifyingly fast. What is even more difficult to guard against is Jun Muxi's flying sword technique. A purple short sword constantly pierces, tracks, and bursts out countless sword shadows. Sometimes it is difficult to distinguish between true and false. If Yaishan's concentration is not enough, it is very likely that his body will be directly pierced. Under these suppress ions, the biggest threat to Yaishan is still Zhang Zizai. After the 9 palaces heavenly sword technique, he killed violently again and stood at the forefront. As long as Yaishan could not defeat him instantly, the 4 people behind him could suppress him and suppress Yaishan to death. As soon as the battle started, Yaishan was at an absolute disadvantage. On the origin, when people were depressed, Yaishan was very calm. Suddenly, 2 chess pieces appeared in his hand, one was black and the other was white. He held a chess piece in one hand, and his aura suddenly changed. He finally used the black and white soul chess. It seems that he has used his totem magic weapon since he came in June, Ji Unsheng said quickly. Black and white soul chess, this is his totem magic weapon recorded in the data. It is indeed more terrifying than the magic eye and soul capture combined. The two chess pieces look small, but they can become as huge as a mountain. When Yishan looked indifferent and threw out the two black and white soul chess pieces, the black and white soul chess pieces suddenly changed in the air, with a diameter of 10 feet, like a mountain, lying across the sky, suppressing their heads. For a moment, Zhang Zizai felt the soul suppression of the magic eye and soul capture, or the soul suppressing talisman. He was fine, but the other four people looked pale, and they might not be able to hold on for long. Without their help, Zhang Zizai would not be very sure to fight against Yishan by himself. It's time to show more means. They forced him to use the black and white soul chess. These 5 people are pretty good. Yes, but it also means that the battle is over. On the origin, people shook their heads, waiting to see the defeat of the 5 of them. Unexpectedly, at this time, Zhang Zizai had a terrifying talisman in his hand. It was the Avasai Hell talisman that he had been thinking about recently. There are 2 more chapters in the afternoon.